Are you struggling with coming up with a homestead income idea? If so, this episode is for you. In this episode, I go over 7 steps to deciding on a homestead income idea, and be sure to listen to number 7 because it is probably the most important. As a longtime homesteader, I understand what keeps you up at night. Can I afford to start a homestead? Will my spouse ever be able to work from the homestead full time? What if a tree falls and destroys the barn we just built? I'm worried I won't have enough money to pay for the new fencing. How are we going to be able to pay for all the vet fees? Will we ever be able to take a vacation? These are thoughts that enter our minds, and it's difficult to keep moving forward because it's hard to see a way out. I'm here to offer you hope. The best way to get out of this feeling of despair is to have a plan and to focus on that plan. And the way we start planning is by having brainstorming sessions. The Cultivating Cash Flow Challenge is how you will discover ideas for your 3 homestead income stream strategy, and this will be the beginning of your cash flow strategy. If you are ready to take steps to start or improve your homestead income plan in 2024, you need to start now. I will show you how to take effective and sustainable action steps toward your financial goals. This 5-day event is free within a private Facebook group and a private YouTube event. The event officially starts on August 18th, so visit homesteadincomeplan.com/cash flow to register. I am so thankful for you to be here, and I'm going to get right into the topic, which the topic today is 7 steps to deciding on a homestead income idea. Now, this is going to be, I'm going to try to go through it really fast. There's a lot of information to share, but, it could go on forever. So I'm going to really try to go through this as fast as I can. Today, I'll be talking about the idea generation process and how to discover what type of homestead income streams you should start with. I'll be going over these 7 areas, the 7 steps to deciding on homestead income ideas. I believe you need to have products and services that align with your goals and desired lifestyle and time investment, your desired time investment for the business as well. So you can design this business to fit your lifestyle. So first, we're going to talk about understanding your homesteading goals and lifestyle. If you go back to the previous episode, you will get my tips for goal setting and how you need to really be specific on how much income you want to generate from your homestead income streams. So really getting into thinking about the dollar amount that you need or want. You also really need to think about the lifestyle that you want to live. If you love vacations, you might not want to get several dairy animals because dairy animals are a little bit harder to find people to take care of. So that's just a consideration. So if you really love your vacations, that might not be the animal, the livestock, or the business venture you want to go into. And there are other things like that. There are other easier things that you can walk away from easier from the farm. If you have a farm setting, there are things that you can walk away from easier. Just dairy animals and that sort of thing aren't always as easy to walk away from. So just consider these things as you're deciding what type of income stream to start. For example, for me, my homesteading driving force actually started with horses, and I was really into horses all of my life, and I wanted to have a farm with horses. And then as my children got older and I realized they needed better dietary, better nutrition, and had my journey, my health journey showed that raising my own food and animals for us was a better option. I got more into raising other animals. I always wanted to have a farm with lots of animals, but it wasn't until I had kids that I realized I really want this for my children. So that is how my homesteading life started. And, it wouldn't have probably happened the same way had I not wanted the horses to begin with. But not everybody's like that. And so whatever it is that you're trying to design, whatever lifestyle you want to lead, make sure that it's aligned with your desires and your goals. And it's not just because other people are doing it. Horses are not a common homestead farm animal because they don't always give back in the way of food. But for me, this was a strong driving force because I loved horses all my life. For you, it may be that having fresh milk for your children or your family is more important than you going on several vacations or having the ability to leave the farm very easily. That may be your driving force, and that is completely fine as well. So the next thing that we're going to cover is exploring different homesteading ideas. And the way you're going to do this is something that I teach. I teach the creating 3 homestead income streams for sustainability and preparedness. If you want to learn more about that, I have other videos as well that I can share for you, as well as podcast episodes. I think it's important to have an on homestead, off homestead, and online income stream as fallbacks, as in case of something happens, in case of natural disasters, in case of economic crisis. Having the multiple income streams so that you can have cash flow year round is really a good way to set yourself up. Homesteaders with seasonal crops really can benefit from this, so that you just make sure that in the off season you're always having cash coming in, because possibly you could be doing your online income during the times where there's no other cash flow coming in. Speaking of cash flow, if you're listening to this or watching this before August 18th, be sure to join the Cultivating Cash Flow Challenge that I have coming up. It's completely free, but we will be going through this idea generation process and the next steps that you need to take to start your business. So make sure you look at the link in the description, or you can go to homesteadincomeplan.com/cash flow to register. And it's free, remember. Okay, the next topic we're talking about is assessing your skills, interests, and hobbies. It's really important to set yourself up in a way where things align with you. Things flow better if you like the stuff that you're doing. So let's assess these skills, interests, and hobbies that you have already, and see where you can draw from. See what ideas come from these things that you have in your life already, skills that you do, or hobbies that you're really interested in. Let's see where you can create and generate ideas and brainstorm ideas for this. For instance, these are some of my students in my program that I have. I'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. These are some of my students. Jason here, he is a podcaster as well. He has a podcast called Plans and Provisions. He is really into preparedness. And so some of the things that we're talking about, brainstorming about, is things that he can create to help and support the homesteading community, especially families in preparedness. Like, how can he serve these people? So we're brainstorming about ideas for him. And then we also have Adam and Leslie, and they are beekeepers that are really into beekeeping, and they also have dairy animals as well. I just did a brainstorming session with Leslie where we're talking about how she can possibly move away from that a little bit and come up with strengths that she has. So her husband is the beekeeper for the most part, but she has other strengths that she has been working in. She's been working for years in different areas, and we're discussing maybe that she can maybe support the homesteading community with her administration and bookkeeping skills. So that is something that we're brainstorming with her currently on that as well. And then we have Jessica, who is a flower farmer, who has a love for flowers, beautiful things, and she's also a graphic designer. So we're brainstorming on ways where she can use her graphic design skills to support the homesteading community. I don't know if you noticed, but I said that more than once. This is how I feel like I'm maybe different, in that I am specifically trying to serve homesteaders by giving them ideas to generate an income, but to also serve homesteaders as well. So it's kind of like the homesteading community can be so giving and so great, and the community is great. I want to enrich it even more. So I am trying to help homesteaders help other homesteaders. And that is called niching down, by the way. That is really what you do when you're serving people, a specific group of people. You're niching down to help that specific group of people. Now we're going to talk about evaluating market demand and feasibility. Okay, this is a really important one, because I think a lot of people have an idea and think that their idea is great and it's wonderful, but they've never asked anybody outside their own family whether it was a good idea. They've never done the research. So what ends up happening is the business fails because they never found out whether the business was legitimate and and good, and if they were even able to fulfill the community that they were reaching with their product. It might be that there's too much demand even, and if it's too much demand and you can't fulfill on your services and products, then you become overwhelmed and the business has to shut down. Or possibly there isn't enough demand and there's just nobody going to buy your stuff. So it's really important. Market research is so important, and it's not as complicated as you think. It's pretty easy. It really has to do with just getting in there and talking with people, letting people have their opinions about things. And I'm not talking about your Aunt May that has really, harsh opinions about everything. I'm talking about the people that you want to serve and what their opinions on it are. So market research is so important. If you're working on your off homestead or on homestead income stream, you can go out into the community and actually ask people. You just ask people around you, like, what is it that if I had this service for you, would this be helpful to you? If I had this product for you, would this be helpful to you? You just ask that. And then you can even ask more questions, like if they say no, say they say no, that wouldn't be. Then say, well, is there something that's similar to that could be helpful to you? You just keep asking questions and then you'll get your answers, and then you'll get your product idea that you've been looking for. And for those of you who are working on your online income stream, you can get into Facebook groups, you can get into communities, you can ask your Instagram following, you can put out polls and see what people are saying. The main thing is that you're asking and you're talking to people. It's just so important. Sometimes Facebook groups don't allow for you to actually ask these types of questions, so be aware of that. But by the way, you can join the Homestead Income Plan group, and I do allow those types of questions inside of our group. So the Homestead Income Plan group is full of homesteaders. So if you're searching for, seeing if a product would be a good idea, that it might be a good place for you to ask that question. Okay, the next is niching down your choices. Now, let's say you have a list, you're brainstorming, you have a list of ideas, and you just don't know where to start to go from there. You just got a bunch of ideas. Well, now we do a niching down process. So a niche, if you don't know what a niche is, it is when you're coming up with a specific topic, and they can be very granular or they can be kind of wide. So a niche would be women homesteaders, but that's a very wide niche. But there also could be women homesteaders with children under 3. That's a very narrow niche. So do you know what I'm saying? So narrowing down your niche will help you in the way you speak to people. So if you were saying women homesteaders, that's fine if you had a certain product that just serves all women. But if you have a certain product idea or service that needs to serve a specific type of woman, like a mom with children under 3 who have sleep problems, that's a specific niche. And you can help the homesteading community because there's moms all over the place in homesteading, right? So remember that is niching down even more, saying homesteading moms who have children under 3 with sleep problems. That is a really specific niche, but there are so many people that can benefit. So there's something that I do with my students that I came up with that is really helpful for mapping out your ideas. And it's just a brainstorming session that I will do. I ask a series of questions, and then I fill in all of this information in a map that I made on Canva. But it's really, really helpful and useful. And then you can picture what your on homestead, off homestead, and online income ideas could be. So here's a big picture of it. If you're listening to this on the podcast, you can go over to YouTube, the Homestead Income YouTube, and see this. But it's a map of showing, the idea. We enter in the idea or ideas, and then we talk about your hobbies, skills, and strengths. And we have a section for that. We have your ideal customer avatar. And that is something I'll talk about more about in next episodes. We want to know who you want to serve, so we want to know that. So there's a section for that, but there's also a section for income plan, like what you need, how much money do you need to make within the next 6 months? How much money do you need to make what's your monthly goal within the next year? What's your monthly goal within 3 years? We're going to break that down as well. And then we have the time investment. How many hours a week can you spend? How many hours a week can you actually dedicate to your business, and that will help you look at the whole picture in one page. And then we can break down your ideas with the on homestead, off homestead, and online income. So this is just something that I offer to my students, and in the future, and coming up in September, I will have the Paid Homesteader Academy, which is a course coaching program that I'm opening up in September, and more information will be coming for that soon. So the next step in the 7 steps to deciding on homestead income is creating a plan and taking an action. This YouTube channel, a lot of my homestead income information is about homestead income planning. Like, you have to have a plan. You have to, it gives you direction when you have a plan. And you can go back to my last episode, where I talk more about creating a plan, having a specific income goal in mind. And if you join the Cultivating Cash Flow Challenge that's coming up on August 18th, if this is past and when you're watching this, I'm sorry you missed it. It will come around again. But the Cultivating Cash Flow Challenge is completely free, and you can start creating your plan. That is the whole goal of the Cultivating Cash Flow Challenge. Is 5 days in a private Facebook group. So check that out. There will be a link in the description. Okay, the next thing we're going to talk about is overcoming challenges and adapting. This is probably the most important thing that you need to know about starting a business, because most of us are starting out and we're solopreneurs. We're doing it by ourselves. You might be doing it with a spouse, but a lot of us are doing these business, we're starting our business by ourselves. So you need to know that there is this thing called solopreneur isolation syndrome. It's not really a thing. I just made it up, but it does. You understand there is a real feeling of being isolated, and you feel like nobody understands, and nobody wants to talk about your business stuff. Nobody gets it, So it's really important to not isolate yourself. And the reason you feel this way is because of so many different hats that you have to wear. You have to literally be the business, an entire business. Sometimes you have to be the marketing agency. You have to be the sales agency, or, the sales department. You have to, be the customer service. There's so many areas when you're building a business, whether it's online or in person, or, whatever income stream method that you're using. It is still the same. You can still feel very isolated if you do not have the right support. Solopreneurs and entrepreneurs, you have to have a production plan. You have to have workflows, and you have to have systems that are time efficient, because you don't have time in the day to do everything, right? You don't want to work like a dog. So you have to be efficient as well. You need to have an income strategy where you have a cash flow coming in year round. You need to have a marketing and sales plan. And you need to be able to believe that you can be successful in your business. And let me tell you, you're going to doubt yourself. You're going to feel like an imposter. You're going to feel alone, and that is a completely normal part about starting a business and maintaining a business. You're going to feel these emotions. It's just, the important part is you need to be able to get out of that. And one way that can happen is through community. Community is such an important part of building a business, and it can be such a supportive network of people that get you, they understand. We as homesteaders understand that community is really important. So be sure that you're part of a community. Again, you can join the Homestead Income Plan community. I call my members the HIP community because it's Homestead Income Plan. I call my members the HIP community, and the HIP community is just, we're there, we're learning together. We are, there's trainings I have for free as well. So I highly recommend you join the HIP community. We're going to recap what we went over. We went over understanding your homesteading goals and lifestyle. It's really important to understand how you want to live your life, right? Exploring different homesteading income ideas, what the process like that can look like if you just, take some steps. Assessing your skills, interests, and hobbies. Make sure that what you're doing is something that you like to do and you like to share with people. Evaluating market demand and feasibility. Whether, doesn't matter what business you're starting, you need to make sure there are people who want what you have. narrowing down your choices. It's a process that you need to like go through and do some brainstorming, some mind mapping, figure out what it is that really hone down in. And there's a section I have not discussed in here, and it will be in the next episode, but it's finding people who want your product. It's talking about finding your customer, your ideal customer avatar. So make sure that you watch the next video on that. Creating a plan and taking action. You need to just start that plan, get that plan going. Don't forget the Cultivating Cash Flow Challenge that's coming up. That can help you start your plan. And then overcoming challenges and adapting. You need to be able to know how to do that. There is a process to know how to fail well and to pivot. And that is something that is a skill that needs to be learned. And you got to kind of take away some of your pride and just say, I'm going to keep going, whether this is doesn't feel really good right now, but I'm going to pivot and I'm going to keep going on this path. So the ability to overcome challenges and adapting is so important. So I want to encourage you to get involved with some of the things that I mentioned. Watch more of my videos, and just get the ideas flowing. You can listen to the previous episodes that I have. One of the previous episodes I have is why you should set homestead income goals and why ignoring them is a bad idea. And then the next episode that will be published is Sell Smarter, Not Harder, a guide to selecting your ideal product audience. So that's a really important one. That's coming up with your ideal customer avatar. That will be next. I really appreciate you watching or listening, and I will be back real soon.